imagine you guys are what, 18? Somebody tells you you're going to leave all of your friends and everybody you know and your house and everyone and go move to a different country.
My name's Dingri.
My name is Yafa Minazar.
Gina Mackling.
I'm Lois Chung.
I was born in Tehran, Iran.
I came from Vietnam.
Brisbane, Australia.
I came from Taiwan.
I was a nurse. Now I take care of the home.
I'm the Mandarin teacher at Polytechnic School.
I'm a teacher, a math teacher at the upper school at Polytechnic.
A neurologist.
Yeah, I came here at 2005 because I met my husband in Taiwan, and he grew up here. He's also Taiwanese. He came here when he was 10 or 11, and we met in Taiwan, and then I came here with him at 2005.
I was 23 and I came to work as a nurse.
I always wanted to go to medical school, but as a Jewish, minority in Iran, it was very difficult for women, especially, to go to university, especially at those kinds of levels, medical school, engineering. That was very difficult to get in. And if I had to stay there and go to medical school, I had to choose somewhere far and away from my family in like some remote, state or place. So my family finally decided to pick up and come to US. By that time, when I was 18, most of my relatives were here too. My cousins, my grandparents, the close, aunts and uncles were here as well. So that's when we decided to move so I could actually pursue my, education here.
I think it's just for a better life, the typical American dream. So I think mostly for financial reason. My family wasn't doing too well, and there's not a lot of opportunity in Vietnam. So when we have a chance to come to the sponsorship program, we decided to take it and move here.
So what happened is President Reagan I think it was in the 80s, he passed a rule that if you lived in a country as a minority and you were persecuted because of your religion, you could apply as a religious asylum and come to US. And one of the groups that really qualified for this whole process were Jews in Iran, because by that time in the 70s was when the revolution occurred in Iran, and the Islamic law and the Islamic government came in, and the Jews were under pressure. So we qualified for that. But in order to do that, we had to leave the country and go to one of the centers that would process you. So there were a group of people went to Italy, a group of people went to Austria. We went to Austria in 91. There is this organization in Austria that we went to, it's called HIAS, H-I-A-S. We went there, and they're the ones who process the whole, paperwork and everything. And basically you send an application. You get there, you send an application through this agency to the U.S. government, and the U.S. government interviews you, and they go through all your background and paperwork and everything else, and then they say yes or no, you qualify or you don't qualify. So we went to Austria. We stayed there for 3 months. There are families before me who have stayed like a year or 2 years until the processing is over. So for us, we were lucky. It was only about 3 months.
I got recruited by an agency who place nurses, a travel agency that placed nurses in the country. But to do that, you had to pass the exam here, the national board exam. So I had to sit that in Australia, pass that exam, and then also sit an English speaking exam. There's those 2 exams. So then the company owned my work visa. And after I was here a few years, I went and petitioned my own green card. It was easy for me to get a green card.
Relative sponsorship. So if you have a relative who is an American citizen here, then they can sponsor you to come, the whole family to come. So my uncle, he escaped Vietnam after the Vietnam War over. He came over to America he get on a boat and get out into international water, and he's a refugee. And after that, he got to America. And after he got his citizenship, he decided to come back and sponsor my mom, his sister, to come here. So the application process took 10 years. So we filled out the paperwork. So that was right, I think, when I was 5. My parents did the application. So then submit the application, and then 12 years later, we got the another paper to say our application is processing, and they just need some more information because it's been 10 years, so they need some more information. So we supply those information, and then we did a bunch of we did an interview at the embassy, and we did on the vaccine and on the flu shot and everything. So make sure that we safe to enter the U.S. And then a year later, we fly over.
Yeah, I'm a citizen, and I become one because I married to American citizen. That's how I got the citizen. Yeah.
Very important for me to become a citizen, again, because I wanted to be able to contribute and also be part of the community and be here in a very legal, legitimate manner. The process was when we came as a Jewish asylum, 5 years later, we could get our green card. So we got our green cards. And then I think 5 years later, or maybe 4 years later, we applied for the citizenship. And then as a family, we all went down to, I think it was in downtown someplace, where we did the swearing and the ceremony and everything. So yes, I am a citizen, and I became a citizen as quickly as it was possible.
No, I still just have a green card. Not yet. I've got to do it. I just have to fill in the paperwork. I'm just lazy. I get in trouble all the time for not doing that. But no, I haven't done it yet.
What happened is that when I come to America, they provide us with green card, so that's a legal resident, so permanent resident. So those cards are good for 10 years. So within that 10 years, if you live in America and you didn't get into any trouble, then you qualify to apply for citizenship. And for that, you just have to fill out the paperwork, and then you go to the and do the interview. And the interview is just mostly about American history, so it's fairly easy, and the American government. So after 5 years, so when I was in college, I decided to apply for the citizenship, and yeah, so it went through fairly easily. Yeah.
I used to go to church at home, but then I never went to church here. I think mostly because I'm Lutheran. There's not a lot of Lutherans here, and I would work a lot of Sundays. So you know what I think the biggest difference was, because remember it was 23 years ago in Australia. Like, firstly, McDonald's was not open for breakfast. I mean, there was nothing. And at Easter, the whole country shuts down. Like, from Good Friday to Easter Monday, you literally could not do a thing. If you didn't stock up on food and petrol on Thursday, you went without. So, and then I found it so different over here because there's really not any religion here. And so Good Friday, you got a newspaper, the stores are open. I mean, that was just freaky for me. That was pretty hard to handle for the first few years. And then Sundays in Australia, nothing was open on Sunday because you go to church. And so it was hard to get over everything being open on a Sunday, malls and stores and everything. So that was the biggest difference. And you could go to the market on a Sunday. You could not go to the market on a Sunday when I grew up. So that was a big change. That was the biggest change, I think, coming over. Because it's so multi-religious here, you can't just shut down Good Friday because there's too many other religions, and they don't have that in Australia. They're Christians and Catholics and.
I think I'm not religious. As in my family, the culture, part of the culture is the Buddhism. It's part of my Vietnamese culture. So my parents are somewhat religious. So they go to the temple and everything. I think I just do those things because my parents. So when I come to America, I think that's also because the community around us. Like, it wasn't hard, and yeah, I mean, I still somewhat an atheist. I think the only reason why I did go to the temple is just because my parents. Yeah.
When I was in Iran, the reason we are like immigrants in Iran, and I'm sorry, minorities in Iran, is because our ancestors for years and years and years fought for the religion and kept it, and despite all the wars and the division and the Holocaust and everything, you name it, we kept our close-knit family. So when I came here, my views changed because of several things. One was, as you grow up and you're more mature, especially when you have kids, you realize what were the important things and priorities in life. I think religion gave me an anchor. It gave me structure. It gave me a sense of massive pride. and it gave me a sense of structure and a foundation. So I'm not religious by no means at all, but we have certain traditions that we keep, and it's incredible because when I came to this country, I realized I was more attracted to, the community, again, the community of Jews. They were helpful to me. They were kind. And not that all the other Persians and all the other, Americans, it didn't matter. Everybody was really kind and wonderful. It's just what your heart feels comfortable with and kind of like, is a comfort zone. So I didn't become more religious, but I do put a lot of values in religion. I did not to the point that I didn't have a bat mitzvah myself, but it was very important for me, for both of my kids to be bat mitzvah, and I had to go through, major, I would say length to actually make that happen. Because again, I live in a community where we don't have a lot of synagogues around us, and they're not a huge Jewish community, so we had to bring it in and make it happen. And I think as a result, my kids have a very strong love and anchor in Judaism because of that too. So it kind of started from the history, from the back, and then as we moved along and came to US, it got stronger and stronger. And I think it's one of the big parts of our life now.
I'm not that religious. My family, they are like Taoism.
Mm-hmm.
And I do need to like worship the ancestors. There are some routine, like traditions I need to follow, but I don't really practice religions here. Yeah, so it doesn't really affect that much.
I think nothing changed much. I mean, my main value is still my family, my parents. I still want to do right by them and help them out. And I think that value is still the same. And yeah, I think overall, because I pick also my family, nothing has changed, but in terms of like value and my priority and my goal in life. Yeah. I think one of the things that make us great, I think in terms of, at least from my experience in high school and in college, is the education, is that we focus on the big picture. We not so much, when we learn something, we try to get the main idea, but we not so focused on the small detail. So I remember in Vietnam, when I learned history, I had to memorize on the day and on the detail. Like in the war, we had to know all the battles. But here, when we learn, I think we focus on like the causes of the war, as well as like where's the turning point, and the overall picture of the war, or like the period. So I think, and also in terms of like here people value more confidence. I think if you're confident, people find that more soon. And also the idea, I think here they also encourage more creativity. I think in Asia, it's more about follow the rule and do these things. So like in school, you learn these things, but you're not encouraged to explore outside of what you require. And I think in America, that is more value, creativity, and being able to being encouraged to explore outside what you require to do, outside homework and exam. And I think that something that takes me a while to get used to, because I always do what I asked to do, but never go above and beyond that, especially at school. So yeah.
In Taiwan, I don't have to think about like the minority. There are minorities in Taiwan. We have indigenous people, but I'm the like majority. So I didn't really think about that. Now here I'm a minority, and we start to have different meetings, like colored people meetings, and we are talking about our needs, the common needs, or our voices want to be heard. But sometimes I feel a lot of time that's very similar to everyone. It's not like we want to be heard, we want to be treated fairly. Isn't that the same thing from everyone? It's not because we are colored people we want to be heard. Everyone wants to be heard. Like, what if you want to be heard? Then why we put people into this category and talk about what do we want? I don't know. I'm just confused. Because bottom line, want to be respected. Want people to talk to us because they want to talk to us, not because how we look. So how do we put people into different group? And that's how I feel. Another thing I feel that is also changed my goal, because I'm always thinking that if I'm or still in Taiwan now, I will still be a teacher, but I'll be a very like active teacher, like vocally. I'll probably be the leader of the teachers union. That's my personality. But coming to this country, and because of that confidence, I'm kind of not that confident because my language. But it's not because of my abilities, because of my language. So I just not seek to take a leading role anymore because I think that somehow kind of stopped me to pursue what I used to do. I always be a leader when I was a student, organize club, do those things, and I'm a different person here. So it made me think that I will probably be a different person when I was in Taiwan. But again, here I get to cultivate my critical thinking. So although I'm not leading any like a significant committee or group, but I feel something like I'm different. Like my way of thinking is different from my peers in Taiwan. I'm more sensitive to different culture, like multicultural thing. I didn't get that part in Taiwan because we will say Han people. There's still different minorities, but it's not that obvious here when it's a like cultural melting pot. We have to really consciously be aware and be sensitive about a lot of how you say and your intention impact. But I didn't learn that when I was in Taiwan because we all look the same. And now being a minority here, I feel I have to, and Asian Americans, our culture is more inward. We don't really speak out. So I feel the Asian affinity or Asian American are the group that not really have their voice being heard. And I also feel that I kind of feel I have this responsibility to be a part of this Asian affinity group, but I also feel that there's so much for me to do that I feel I don't have time for that, but I feel bad for that because I'm one of this minority. I'm supposed to do something. So I'm still adjusting to this. Yeah.
When you are a woman, and especially if you're an immigrant, and people may not take you seriously, you can actually go under the radar, and you can do amazing things. And by the time you come out of the radar, nobody can compete with you. And that's kind of sort of what happened to me with work, especially. Because when I came into this place and I started my practice, I was trying to take over a laboratory that I had special training in it or whatever, and they felt like it's not that big of a deal, and they didn't think it's gonna happen. They didn't think it was gonna work or whatever. But by the time we set it up and got the team together and put it together and started the entire process, and kind of like brought it into, made it a huge program. By that time, no prejudice or racism could affect me at that time because you already proven yourself who you are, what you can do. So it never, if you ask me, did it negatively affect me? No. But did I feel it? Yes. Yes, that would be the short answer.
Sometimes, no, not when I travel. Olympics are on, I'm going for the Australians, okay? And then I'll go for the Americans over, the Canadians or someone else. But so firstly, I'll go for an Australian in a race, then an American in a race, and then the rest of the world. Maybe the English over the Americans, just depends. Sometimes the mother country comes into play.
To make it I fairly oblivious of what happened around me in terms of like the election or anything like that. It to me, it's not my country. I'm here. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna study. I'm gonna work hard. But I never think like this. Like I belong to this country. Like I don't think I have the same amount of pride as like if I get to trouble, it's gonna be a lot. I'm gonna be kicked out of the country. It's not never that like entitlement that I have, and I feel like because of that, I never feel like I'm American. Like I never feel like this is my country, and it just happened gradually. And I think as I become more aware and I care more about what happened in the country, that I realize that I'm actually care about this country. And I think it just happened over time. There's never a really turn point, but when I start thinking about how I be more aware of what happened around me, and I care more about what happened here instead of in Vietnam, that's when I realized that I'm American.
Yeah. So if someone give me a definition of what kind of person, what is American, then I would say, oh yeah, I'm American. But my citizenship, yes, I'm a Chinese American. That's my citizenship. But my cultural background is Chinese. That's my ethnic background. I'm also Taiwanese. Ethnically, I'm Chinese. I'm Han people, Chinese. But my nationality, I'm dual nationalities. So I'm Taiwanese and also American. A lot of time, I still feel that people are talking about something that something happened in college. Their college life is no, I didn't go to school here. No common topic to talk about. If they make jokes, didn't get it. Yeah, so it's still a lot of time that happen that I feel that I'm not in this culture. That people they no, and I'll just laugh about it, and I don't know. Yeah.
I have a very, very deep and sincere love and gratitude and sense of belonging, and I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be where I am. My kids wouldn't be where I am if I didn't live in this country. And if I have anything to do to contribute to the community and to the society, I'm always the first one to sign up for it. Doesn't matter who and for what. But do I deep inside feel American? No, because I was born and raised in a different country. I don't feel Iranian either, to be honest with you, because I'm now 46. I lived in Iran when I was 18, so I lived most of my life here. So it's do I consider myself a pure American and no other thing behind me? No, it's a very mixture of different things.